everyone, and welcome to Yes Science! We are at the Walker Terrace in Oklahoma City, and we are super excited to have our first guest of 2019 for Yes Science. I'm your host, Pallas the Librarian, and this is Arianne Hunter.
Hi.
So tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Awesome. So my name is Ari. My full name is Arianne Hunter. I like to go by Ari. I'm currently a fifth-year PhD candidate at the University of Oklahoma in chemistry. I'm specifically focused in organic chemistry, and I guess right now what I'm very passionate about is science communication and science outreach, but I'm still passionate about science itself and the actual practice of it. And I'll be graduating in about 6 weeks, and I'll be starting my official career as a scientist with the Defense Forensic Science Center in Atlanta, Georgia.
Science.
Yeah, so much science.
That's awesome. So you're just about to graduate. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank
so
you.
Exciting. What is a typical day like for you as a almost graduating PhD student?
Oh, okay. So I'm really obsessed with working out. So I usually wake up at about 3:30 a.m. And make it to the gym at 4 a.m. and I work out for an hour, and basically I think of working out as my coffee. So I can't really get my day started without a thorough workout and a thorough sweat. So then I come back home, I shower, I get ready, and then I go to lab. And typically in lab, I'm running experiments from like morning to night. I'm that typical chemist with flasks and chemicals, mixing stuff together. So I do synthetic chemistry and I make molecules. And so during the experimentation, I do a lot of analyzing of data, stuff of that nature. I consult with my PhD advisor a lot to figure out where I should go on a project. And then after that, I just go home at night and I sleep, and then I get started all over again.
3:30 is so early.
Yeah.
Man, that's impressive. So what are some misconceptions people might have about you as a scientist?
I think that a common misconception that I get is that, or at least before people meet me, they think that I'm a scientist, so I have trouble communicating. So that's a misconception that I'm trying to actively debunk, because, you know, whenever you think of like your stereotypical scientist, you think of someone that's like socially awkward and doesn't really know how to communicate in a relaxed situation. And then I think that usually translates over into someone not understanding what scientists do technically. So I think that that's a common misconception that I usually get. And then usually like within 5 minutes, people will realize, they're like, oh wait, you're a scientist? I'm like, yeah, I am.
Oh, that's really sad that people just assume that you're not going to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, communication is really important to you.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Way to debunk those people. So why are you interested in your field of expertise? Like, what really got you that first spark of interest?
So I really enjoy cooking. I remember in the 8th grade, somehow I became addicted to the Food Network. So I would like obsessively watch Food Network shows, and then I tried to mimic stuff in the kitchen. And sometimes it was successful, sometimes it was not successful at all. But I think I'm a fairly good cook now. But then I got to college and I was taking classes to become a medical doctor. So I was taking your biology, I was taking your basic chemistry, and then I actually took organic chemistry, and then there was a lab component. So the place where I went to undergrad at, it was on a trimester system, and so the classes were condensed into 12 weeks. So that made the corresponding lab component like 8 hours a day. So we were in lab as undergraduates for like 6 to 8 hours a day, but I loved it. Like I loved doing organic chemistry lab work because we were mixing chemicals chemicals. And I was like, this is a lot like cooking, except for I can't eat it. And so I just loved it so much. I loved making new compounds. I loved making materials. So we did an experiment where we actually made like thread, like chemical thread out of two chemicals that we mixed together in the lab. And one of my lab mates, she was like, you're really good at this. And so her dad happened to get his PhD in organic chemistry. And she was like, you should really look into getting your PhD in organic chemistry. And I was like, I don't think so. So then I looked into it more, and then I talked to some professors, and they're like, no, we actually think that you'd be good at this. And it was one professor in particular. Her name was Siobhan Mildy, and she actually passed away recently, which it sucked because I wanted her to see me graduate with my PhD. But she supported me and she helped me with the applications and going to grad school. So that's kind of what sparked it in the beginning, was actually just cooking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we all cook. But
Yeah.
to really just kind of hone in on those skills and expand it, that's really amazing. So what do you like best about your profession? You said you love doing the labs when they were giving you free labor opportunities for 8 hours a day as an undergrad.
I think what I love best about being a chemist right now, at least being a graduate researcher, is the creativity. So I was given a project my first year as a graduate student, and basically my PhD advisor was like, I need this to work. You figure out any way to make it work and that would be amazing. And so in the initial stages, whenever I really didn't know how to do full-on technical research, because doing undergraduate labs is different from actually doing research as a scientist. So in those beginning stages, I was able to be more creative. I was able to find things in literature, apply them in lab. I was able to mix together new things. And that's actually how my research and my success in research got jump-started, was my professor, my PhD advisor, he came to me and said, we need to make this scaffold, like we need to make this blueprint of a molecule. I don't know how we're going to make it. I have advice. This is what I think, and it didn't work. So then I went into the literature and I was like, I think if we mix together these two metals and we put them in the presence of like these different chemical building blocks. I won't get too technical, but I was like, I think if I do this, then it will work. And it did. And so that creativity and that applying what I was reading and actually applying it in the laboratory, it was all based on my ability to be creative.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you also mentioned earlier that when you initially got that thing from your professor, that it didn't originally work out.
Yeah.
So occasionally I'm sure there's challenges in the life, in the world of science. So what is a typical challenge that you might occur in a daily?
So my PhD advisor, one of the things that he drills in our head is that being a synthetic chemist, there's only a 10% success rate. And so that means that if you run 10 reactions in the lab, 9 of them are going to fail. And so that is something that I kind of had to mentally prepare myself for. So in the beginning stages, it didn't feel good, because it's like I'm putting in all this work, stuff is failing, I don't enjoy this. But then I think the competitive side of it started kind of coming out in me. So I played basketball growing up, and I credit a lot of my success in science due to that competitive nature. So I was like, I want to be better. So then, okay, the success rate is only 10%. I can't just run 10 reactions. That means I need to run 100 reactions. So then I can have 10 of them go right. So I need to increase that number of success. So I think the most challenging thing is just the inevitability of failure that I kind of had to just swallow. So I think that is definitely it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what steps did you take to get to where you're at right now? So you're about to graduate with your PhD. You knew you wanted to be a scientist pretty much ever since 8th grade when you discovered cooking. So what steps between then and now really got you to where you're at?
Okay, so whenever I first got to undergrad, I was playing basketball, and I knew I wanted to major in a science, but they kind of tried to steer me away from it because they said it would be too too difficult for me to be successful at science and play basketball. But I think one of the key steps was actually being stern in what I wanted to do. So even though they were trying to distract me away from it, I was like, okay, well, I'm still going to take these science classes. And then sadly, I had to stop playing basketball because of a knee injury. So then whenever I stopped playing basketball, I was able to change my major entirely to chemistry. And so I think one of the key steps was that sternness, stubbornness, some people might like to call it. And then another key step was actually doing research as an undergraduate. So I sought out research opportunities not only at Dartmouth, where I went to college at, but I came home for I think a semester, and I went to UCO and I did research, and I even commuted a couple times back and forth to Norman, and I did research in Norman. So that allowed me to build up a nice application for graduate school. Then once I was in graduate school, basically the steps towards actually being a successful chemist was putting in those long hours, reading literature. So a lot of people think that all that a scientist does is just like bench work, but there's a lot of reading that goes into it. And if you aren't reading and keeping up with the literature, then that can actually hurt your ability to be a accomplished researcher. So I think that those are the key steps for me so far.
That's awesome. I've read somewhere that if you read 7 books in your field a year and keep that up for 7 years, you'll be an expert in your field. Do you feel like that's...
I went to a pretty big conference this summer in New Hampshire called the Gordon Research Conference, and it was like where all like the big time professors in like your field specifically go. So I went to the natural products one, and so I was talking to a professor named John Wood, and he's very well established, and he said that every night he reads a textbook. So he literally has a textbook on his bed, like on his nightstand that he reads. So I don't know the number of textbooks that he reads per year, or if he reads that one repeatedly, but I definitely agree that is probably one of the keys to his success.
That's awesome. That is really cool that he literally just reads the textbooks. I mean, nobody could say he's not an expert. Right. So what advice do you have for anyone who might be interested in becoming a scientist?
I think my biggest piece of advice is, if you have a dream, like if your dream is to be a scientist, don't let anyone deter you away from it. Especially as a woman in science, there's this stigma that women aren't good at science and that we shouldn't necessarily pursue it. But I was reading up on some literature that women actually outperform men in STEM related classes prior to college. It's just that whenever we get to college that we tend to deter away from it, either due to outside influence or just like lack of self-confidence. So I think if you have that initial dream of being a scientist whenever you're like in the 4th or 5th grade, or whenever you're in the 8th grade like I was, don't let anyone deter you or distract you from it.
Awesome. That is really great advice. And so we'll just kind of ask a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up the interview. But my next question is, do you have any words of wisdom or inspiration that you wish to share with people?
I think my biggest piece of inspiration or word of wisdom is, right now everyone's focused on diversity and inclusion, but I don't think people are really embracing it like we should, and I feel like that's actually hurting society right now. So the world in general is facing a very, very diverse set of problems, not only scientifically, but politically, economically, and just so many broad, diverse problems are affecting society. And I feel like you have to have diverse minds contributing to the solutions to solve these problems. So if you're looking at science, there's different people that are being affected by different scientific issues, but if only one set mind is contributing solutions to that, then it actually won't get solved, in my opinion. So I think you need diverse minds to solve diverse problems.
Absolutely. That's an amazing input. So my last question is, have you ever made slime?
I have, but I wasn't successful at it. So I think I added like too much glue or something. So it turned just like a little ball that like would bounce counts very high.
All right, well, we are going to revisit that science experiment
Awesome.
today.
Cool.
So if you are up for the challenge,
I am.
we're gonna make super fluffy
Fluffy? Okay, cool.
fluffy slime. So I've never made it. This will be my first time too. If it goes completely wrong, that's just fine. That's what science is all about, right?
Yes.
9 out of 10 times we're not gonna get it right. All right.
My name's Ashley with Skeletons Museum of Osteology in Oklahoma City. Osteology is the study of bones, skulls, and skeletons, and to help prepare our skeletons, we use live flesh-eating beetles. These are real insects that help us clean the skeletons. You can see today they're feeding on domestic cat and a real possum skull. These beetles exist in nature, and there's actually over 500 species of dermestid beetles. Dermestid beetles are known as a carrion beetle or a flesh-eating beetle. You could also call them dermestids for short, that's what we do. But these beetles will actually consume the flesh or the tissue that's left on the skulls, getting it ready for the next part of our process, which is to chemically whiten and sanitize the bones. So come see these feed every day here at Skeletons Museum of Osteology.
According to our recipe for super fluffy slime, we need washable school glue. Okay, so I've got a big old thing of all-purpose white glue here. It says we need some saline solution, so we've got some saline solution, which is in contact solution. Baking soda.
I think I got the
You've
baking
soda.
Right
Foam
here.
shaving cream. Interesting. And food coloring. That's exciting. Ooh, that's cool. And then we've got food coloring right here. So let's see, we've got some extra foam.
Oh, I wonder if these are like glue, but glitter glue.
Glitter glue. Cool. All right, let's see what we have to do. Says add 3 cups of shaving cream to a bowl. I'm assuming this is a cup. Yep, 1 cup. Do we need to measure that out, or do you think we should just
Eye it.
eye it? You're the scientist. What should I do?
I think, so usually I measure the first one and then the other ones I eye.
Okay.
That's what I do in the lab. But
Does it come out?
The issue is will it come out?
Oh no. All right, I think we'll probably have to use our fingers anyway, so I think we're just gonna have to get in here, right?
All right.
All right.
All right, I think I can eyeball it from here. 3 cups?
That's what it says.
Okay.
It says add 3 cups of shaving cream to a bowl, and you've got yours, it's in the top right corner. Oh, that's definitely fluffy.
All right.
I think, yeah, sure, I'll do it the scientific method, and I'll just put a bunch of shaving cream in here. All right, it says add food coloring as desired.
Okay.
So there's good different colors there.
Let's see. What color should I make? Pink?
Oh, I heard pink and purple. Is there a purple? There's
primary
a
colors?
red and a blue. Oh no! This is so fun, guys. Science!
It's yellow.
I think this one's red and yours is yellow, maybe. Woo! Let's see what happens. I feel like this is a very, very messy experiment. It's okay, I've got wet wipes over here. All right, well, this tablecloth is done for. That's. Woo!
All right. Then after this.
Okay. I wonder if I had a kid up here doing this, if they would be as clean as we are. All right. Add 1/4 to a half teaspoon of baking soda and stir.
All right.
Assuming we have to use our hands to stir, is that what's happening? Okay. I love that they gave us no spoons, or they just want to see us
A
suffer.
quarter. Okay, let's see. So let's go ahead and.
I have little things over here. Ooh, which one's this? This one is 1 tablespoon. And this one is teaspoon. All right, here's a half teaspoon. So if you want to pour that in there, or I'll just scoop it out. Woo! Almost. All right, there's that.
Thank you.
And there's that.
All right, this glue is gonna be fun.
Mix in a half cup of glue, stir to combine.
All right.
Just stir after this one. Yes, science! It's turning kind of a pinky color. Yeah! Oh, see, yours is so pretty! Alright. It says half cup of glue, so half of this, I guess. Ugh. Is that even open? Oh god. Nope. How do I puncture this? Quick, puncture. Do we have anything that can puncture?
Maybe if we reverse the snout of the glue.
Maybe. Oh, I don't know. I'm afraid I'm gonna break it. Nope, I'm not strong enough. Nope, not gonna work. Oh no, oh no. Production people, do we have anything to puncture things? All right, I'll keep. A pen! Do you want to try it?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Does it
I think
come
it just comes out. Hold on, let's see. Here we go.
What? Didn't even have to puncture it. Half a cup.
Let's see.
All right.
All right, then let's go ahead and get the saline solution in there. Oh wait, no, okay, we need to stir the glue in. Oh yeah.
Sticking to you even more?
I am very particular on textures.
Is that a thing that comes from science?
I don't know.
Personality.
I think it's more so personal.
This is interesting. Yeah, I need some more color. You're right. Maybe some blue. Maybe I'll add some blue. Where did the blue one go? Over here? All right. And then 1 full tablespoon of saline solution. So this red one is a tablespoon. Oh my gosh, getting things open with foam.
The red one is a tablespoon?
Yes, this one.
Cool. I think I'm gonna
Ah.
add in the saline.
Yeah, opening things with foam on your hands is fun.
So as a chemist, I rarely have my nails done. So I work a lot with acetone to clean my dishware and to wash chemicals off and stuff. And so acetone is what nail technicians use to take your nail polish off. So if I were to get my nails done, literally the paint would be gone within like an hour in lab. So I'm happy I don't have my nails done right now because I feel like they'd be stained by the food coloring. Let's see. Oh my goodness. I think the glue is like drying right now. There we go.
Yay.
All right, so this is...
Yes, 1 full tablespoon of saline solution.
A tablespoon?
That's what it says. I mean, I don't know. I just read what it says. I'm not a... Whee!
All right, I think this is like what's going to make it into the slime. Do you want me to do yours for you?
Yeah, go ahead. All right, then it says, mix until mixture forms a fluffy slime ball, and then coat hands with a few drops of saline solution and knead slime until the desired consistency.
Okay.
Woo. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it slime up. It says coat hands with saline solution. I think I'm gonna have to do that a little bit. Oh, it's so sticky. Yay!
I have a nephew who's 5. I really think he would enjoy this. I don't know if his mom would enjoy this at her house. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, this is way better than my last one. So my last one was like a little hard rubber ball, and if I dropped it, it would just like bounce. So yeah, I think I like fluffy slime recipe.
All right, so do you think that this science experiment is a success then? What would you say? How would you?
So the messiness makes it successful, because usually if my lab is clean after I finish, that means that nothing good happened.
Oh, okay.
So
Good to know. So when I'm cooking and making something crazy, I'll keep in mind the messy kitchen is a good scientific. Before you came, you had talked to us and told us that there were a couple books that really influenced you.
yes.
And we talked about during the show, the interview, that you enjoy reading, that reading really means a lot to you.
Yes.
And you think that the literature is very important.
Yes.
So what about these two books that you brought up really stuck with you? The first one here is Don't Be Such a Scientist, Talking Substance in an Age of Style, and it's by Randy Olson.
Yes.
And then The Year of Yes, as you're saying yes, 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 by Shonda Rhimes, and it says how to dance it out, stand in the sun, and be your own person. As I was looking up some of the blurbs on these books, they both talk about, getting out of your shell and really standing for, stand up for whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
So what else about these really?
In particular, so Don't Be Such a Scientist, it has helped me a lot in terms of communication. So he gives a lot of tips. So interesting fact, Randy Olson started as, I believe, a microbiologist, and then he quit practicing scientist for a while. Then he went to film school and he got a master's in film, and then he started making science communication movies. So one of the key things about this book that I took away is how to actually communicate my technical science with non-technical individuals. So recently I participated in a 3-minute thesis competition where I had to sum up my entire PhD research over the past 5 years in 3 minutes, and I had to pitch it to a non-technical audience. And this book was a huge key to my success because it taught me how to use different metaphors. It taught me how not to try to force feed people technical information and think just because I know what I'm talking about that everyone else knows what I'm talking about. So that book has been very valuable to me in terms of my career and my professional development.
That's awesome. So anyone in any technical field, maybe not even a scientist specifically, but maybe like in a technical field, might find some sort of interest in here and how to communicate their knowledge to people who may not have the same knowledge as them.
Definitely.
That's awesome. So tell me about the Year of Yes.
Okay, so the Year of Yes, so Shonda Rhimes is actually an alumna of my undergraduate institution. And so she came and she gave actually my graduation commencement speech.
That's awesome.
And it was probably one of the most transformative speeches that I've ever heard. And just the what she was able to deliver in that short amount of time, it was what I needed to hear going into the next stage of life. And so a couple of years goes by and I find out that she published this book from actually my little sister. So my little sister had read this book for a class. And so she was talking about it, and then I was like, okay, I need to read this book. And then she actually has the entire speech from commencement in the book.
Yeah. Awesome.
So within that book, she just talks about going out of her comfort zone, doing things that she wouldn't necessarily do, and it helped her basically get out of a place of unhappiness. So I wasn't necessarily unhappy, but I was uncomfortable with certain things that I was doing in life. And so I read that book this past summer, and I would say over the past 6 months I've been able to step out of my comfort zone and do things that I wouldn't necessarily do, and it was based off of what Shonda was talking about in that book.
That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've done all sorts of different philosophies around the idea of saying yes to get you out of your comfort zone. I do improv, so yes and is our big philosophy. So I love that. That's awesome. So I'd like to open it up to our audience here. Does anybody have any questions for Ari and about her journey as a scientist?
Can you tell us a little bit about your thesis research?
My research as a graduate student has been focused on making molecular scaffolds that are found in drug molecules. So currently the most effective drugs are usually natural products. So they're compounds that are isolated from nature, that you would get from different plants and stuff of that nature. So those are usually your most active and potent drug molecules. But those molecules are produced in very, very low amounts in nature. So that causes those corresponding drug molecules to be expensive. So my research has been focused on the development of ways to make molecules that mimic those natural molecules but aren't necessarily as complex as they are, in hopes of making pharmaceutical drugs less expensive.
That's amazing. Really cool thesis.
Yeah, I've had fun writing it.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, it works and we can reduce some of the costs of pharmaceuticals, because that's a very high-priced and controversial issue.
Very
right
controversial.
Any other questions? Yes.
What sparked your interest in your thesis?
What sparked your interest in your thesis?
So in there's chemistry, but then there's different fields within chemistry. So I've always been most interested in organic chemistry because it was the most similar to cooking, and you're able to actually build things molecularly. So I was interested specifically in doing organic synthesis, but then within organic synthesis, there's different types of it. And I wanted to do the development of drugs and making drug molecules, but I felt like it was as close to changing society as an organic synthesis as I could get.
Cool. So part of your whole wanting to change and improve the community. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So you're talking about creating like molecules of like, I feel like arts and science are often like seen as two sides of the same coin, but it seems like you're incorporating both art and science. What would you say, I mean, would you think that art and science are more closely related than like our culture makes it out to be, and why?
So that's actually, Randy Olson talks about this, and he says that's what some of the most successful scientists are able to kind of bring those two together and intercorrelate them. So he says that art is able to raise a feeling out of your heart and out of your gut, while science is able to raise a feeling out of your mind. And so he said whenever you're able to actually intercorrelate those two, you'll be able to properly communicate and practice science. So I really love music. I'm very, very passionate about music, and typically if I'm able to channel that same feeling that I get while listening to a great song whenever I'm completing an experiment in lab, that's how I know that full circle is being complete in terms of like my passions being ignited. So I think that they are correlated in terms of building a beautiful molecule. A lot of synthetic chemists build molecules just because they look nice. There's like no application of the molecule. There's no way that it could actually be a drug, but because it is just so beautiful to them, they want to pursue it as a molecule to build. Yeah.
It's really cool. Have you ever thought about doing like a music video about organic chemistry?
I have no rhythm at all. So maybe I could direct a music video about science.
That'd be fun. Yes.
What would be your best advice for someone who's trying to build up confidence?
Building up confidence.
I'd say that my best advice about building up confidence is getting to know yourself. So for a while, whenever I was like coming of age, I mean, I'm still young, but whenever I was like in my early 20s, that I could definitely say that was whenever I was the least confident, and it's because I didn't really know who I was as an individual. So whenever I started actually focusing on getting to know who I was and knowing what I was passionate about, what I didn't like, that allowed me to be more confident in myself and know that, okay, I know who I am, so there isn't any need for me to be affected by like the opinions of others and stuff of that nature.
So love yourself first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Ari,
No
for
problem.
coming out to Yes Science. We are super happy to be here. I'd like to thank Walker Terrace for allowing us to use this space this evening or afternoon. It's a nice afternoon day and Saturday. And also Clarity Coffee, which has amazing coffee. They helped give us some coffee for our wonderful audience today. And if you want some coffee, definitely hit them up in downtown OKC. Clarity Coffee's where it's at. And we appreciate everyone who's here supporting science, supporting women in science during Women's History Month. And so thank you all for coming, and thank you, Ari, for being here.
Thank you.